Paxillet1 says hello viewers. Paxillet1 says oh. Paxillet1 says wait. Paxillet1 says I can't call you that anymore. Paxillet1 says you see. Paxillet1 says last video I said that whoever responded to us first. Paxillet1 says got to choose the audience name. Paxillet1 says however it seems I misjudged. Paxillet1 says this was a bad idea. Paxillet1 says however, I am a thing of my word. Paxillet1 says somewhat. Paxillet1 says so from here on. Paxillet1 says anglerfish 3R. Paxillet1 says I hope you're happy. Paxillet1 says, thank you for watching this, dear. Paxillet1 says meat patties. So let's get going. Paxillet1 says right off the bat we have interaction in chat through system messages. Paxillet1 says I wonder if this was meant to be discovered early, since most would not spam the chat of a single-player world. Paxillet1 says alright. Paxilate1 says I like that hill over there. Paxilate1 says it seems we will be living in a plains biome this time. Paxilate1 says let me do the basics before we get into it. Paxilate1 says oh this is a. Paxilate1 says not a circle. Paxilate1 says you know what, it's fine. Paxilate1 says well, cave time. Paxilate1 says oh. Paxilate1 says stop. Paxilate1 says cancel. Paxilate1 says delete. Paxilate1 says oh. Paxilate1 says Paxilate1 says well, it seems we won't have time to get geared up. Paxilate1 says oh, a status effect. Paxilate1 says paranoia. Paxillet1 says that's just false reporting, as I am not paranoid. Paxillet1 says, can I sue? Paxillet1 says, oh, I have no hunger yet, I am not dead. Paxillet1 says, I see, this gets rid of sprint. Paxillet1 says, now, while we wait for day. Paxillet1 says, let's check out these system messages. Paxillet1 says, let's start with the basics. Paxillet1 says, hello. Paxillet1 says, hello? Paxillet1 says, oh. Paxillet1 says, let's try that again. Paxillet1 says, hello? Paxillet1 says, nothing this time. Paxillet1 says, how about? Paxillet1 says, who are you? Paxillet1 says, are you watching me? Paxillet1 says, entity eyes. Paxillet1 says, am I alone? Paxillet1 says, no. Paxillet1 says, I see no moon, so the day-night cycle is still in effect. Paxillet1 says, let's check out our other keys. Paxillet1 says, F3. Paxillet1 says, F5. Paxillet1 says, escape. Paxillet1 says, however, I am curious to see how this will progress. Paxillet 1 says wait. Paxillet 1 says oh. Paxillet says since narrator didn't read that. It's the 29.05 today. In a few days, you are dead. I am dead. Paxillet 1 says this mod is not sklat. Paxillet 1 says therefore, no. Paxillet 1 says I saw this when starting the house. Paxillet 1 says that skeleton startled me. Paxillet 1 says haha. Paxillet 1 says I gotta go eat. Paxillet 1 says I will be back.